These are the real numbers behind food forests that most people never see. After a decade of growth, a food forest transforms from a costly experiment into a self-sustaining ecosystem that can generate significant returns while rebuilding the land beneath it. Today, we are diving deep into the financial data from established food forests across North America and Europe. We will examine Mark Shepard's pioneering 106-acre New Forest farm in Wisconsin, analyze case studies from Scotland to Seattle, and break down exactly what it costs to establish, maintain, and profit from a food forest over its first 10 critical years. The numbers might surprise you. While traditional agriculture struggles with razor-thin profit margins, food forests follow a completely different economic model. They require substantial upfront investment, but can eventually generate multiple income streams while requiring almost no external inputs. The key is understanding the timeline and managing cash flow through that crucial first decade. The upfront investment reality. Let's start with the harsh truth about establishment costs. Creating a food forest is not cheap initially, and the upfront investment pattern is very different from annual agriculture. For a quarter-acre food forest, you are looking at approximately 5,000 Canadian dollars or 3,600 US dollars spread over 3 years. That breaks down to $1,200 for essential tools, $950 for protective fencing, and $2,375 for plants. Scale that up to 1 acre, and costs jump from $5,000 to $10,000, spread over 5 years. This typically includes materials, irrigation infrastructure, and purchasing plant seedlings. The largest expense category is often fencing, which can run between $5 and $16 per linear foot. For 1 acre, you need roughly 800 to 900 linear feet of fencing material, translating to about $9,000 for quality fencing that will protect your investment for decades. But here is where food forests diverge from conventional farming economics. In the Netherlands, researchers found that large-scale food forest construction consumed €30,000 per hectare. However, this represents a one-time establishment cost, rather than the annual input expenses that plague conventional agriculture. Plant selection dramatically impacts your initial budget. Trees, shrubs, and vines average around $35 each, while herbaceous perennials and ground covers run about $15 apiece. On a quarter acre, you can fit 25 to 60 dwarf or semi-dwarf trees, creating the canopy layer that will eventually generate the majority of your harvest value. The invisible costs nobody talks about. Water represents one of the most significant hidden expenses during establishment. Irrigation costs approximately $1,600 per acre each year during the first few years, and it provides about 1 inch of water per week during the growing season. This expense gradually decreases as root systems establish, and the food forest develops its own water retention capacity through improved soil structure and organic matter. Labor costs vary enormously depending on whether you are doing the work yourself or hiring help. Professional installation can double or triple establishment costs, while do-it-yourself approaches require a substantial time investment during critical planting windows. One successful food forest developer reported spending every weekend for 3 years, establishing a quarter-acre system. Tools and equipment represent another significant upfront cost. Basic tools for food forest establishment include shovels, pruning shears, wheelbarrows, irrigation supplies, and soil amendment tools. Quality tools that will last throughout the establishment phase typically cost between $1,200 and $1,500, and this investment pays dividends in efficiency and reduced replacement costs. Years 1 through 3. Pure investment phase. The first 3 years represent pure investment with minimal return. During this period, you are establishing infrastructure, planting trees and shrubs, and creating the foundation systems that will support decades of production. Cash flow is negative, with ongoing costs for plant protection, irrigation, and maintenance. That said, smart food forest designers begin generating small revenues even during establishment. Eric Tonesmeyer and Jonathan Bates, who transformed their tiny 1/10 acre suburban backyard, began selling rare and exotic plant starts by the third year. Because food forests include uncommon edible species, plant starts can command premium prices of $10 or more per plant. This is a crucial insight about food forest economics. Traditional farms focus on commodity production, competing in markets where price is determined by global supply and demand. Food forests, by contrast, can access niche markets willing to pay premium prices for unique products. The critical middle years, 4 through 7 years. 4 through 7 represent the most challenging financial period for food forest operators. Trees and shrubs are producing some fruit and nuts, but not yet at commercial quantities. Maintenance costs continue, though they are declining as the system matures. This is when many food forest projects fail financially because operators underestimate the length of the establishment period. Mark Shepard, whose New Forest Farm is considered one of the most successful commercial food forests in North America, openly acknowledges this challenge. He advises anyone considering food forest farming to plan for off-farm income during this period. Shepard himself generates significant revenue from teaching, consulting, and speaking engagements, rather than relying solely on agricultural production. During the middle phase, successful food forest operators diversify their income streams. The Beacon Food Forest in Seattle, though managed as a community resource rather than a commercial operation, demonstrates this principle. By year 5, they were generating value through educational programs, volunteer coordination, and community-supported agriculture shares. Production data from deep green permaculture shows how yields develop during this period. Their urban food forest garden produced 133 kilograms in the first year, 204 kilograms in year 2, then 196 kilograms in year 3 due to weather-related setbacks, before rebounding to 234 kilograms in year 4. Years 7 through 10, the transformation. Something remarkable happens between years 7 and 9. Food forests typically reach sustained profitability at maturity. The trees have reached productive size. Understory shrubs are generating substantial berry crops, and the system requires minimal external inputs. This transformation is not gradual, it is often dramatic. A food forest that required constant irrigation, fertilization, and pest management suddenly becomes largely self-maintaining. The canopy trees create microclimates that reduce water needs. Organic matter from leaf drop improves soil fertility. Beneficial insects and birds establish population balances that minimize pest problems. Revenue streams multiply during this phase. Nut trees begin producing significant harvests. Apple, pear, and other fruit trees reach mature production levels. Berry shrubs that were planted as small starts now produce gallons of fruit annually. Mushroom logs inoculated during establishment begin fruiting reliably. More importantly, the food forest develops valuable secondary products. Pruning wood becomes biomass for heating or garden mulch. Excess plant starts can generate thousands of dollars in nursery sales. Honey from on-site beehives adds another revenue stream. Some operators begin offering agritourism experiences or educational workshops. The economics of mature production. By year 10, successful food forests demonstrate economics that conventional agriculture simply cannot match. Research from Scotland's Garden Cottage Food Forest, established in 1991, provides concrete data. Over a 7-year period from 2011 to 2017, their 0.08 hectare food forest averaged 713 kilograms of production annually. That production translated to 415,075 kilocalories, 9,868 grams of protein, 8,394 grams of fat, and 85,627 grams of carbohydrates. While these numbers represent food value rather than cash income, they demonstrate the productive potential of mature food forest systems. Commercial operations show even more impressive numbers. A 10-acre hazelnut orchard integrated into a food forest system can generate $5,000 to $10,000 annually after maturity, while simultaneously supporting grazing income from livestock integrated into the system. Multiple revenue stream analysis. Successful commercial food forests rarely depend on a single income source. Analysis of established operations reveals a typical revenue breakdown: 50% from nursery plant sales, 20% from educational services including workshops and consulting, 20% from design and installation consulting, 5% from tours and agritourism, and 5% from direct fruit and vegetable sales. This diversified approach provides income stability that purely production-based farms cannot achieve. Weather events that might devastate a conventional farm's annual crop have minimal impact on educational or consulting income. Plant sales can continue even during drought years when fruit production suffers. Mark Shepard's new forest farm exemplifies this approach. Over nearly 30 years of operation, Shepard has evolved from traditional row crop farming through various permaculture approaches to his current focus on restoration agriculture. His income streams now include nut and fruit production, livestock grazing, plant sales, consulting, book sales, and educational programs. The hidden value of ecosystem services. Mature food forests generate value that traditional accounting methods struggle to capture. Carbon sequestration represents one quantifiable benefit. Recent USDA research indicates that forest landowners can average $7.16 per acre annually from ecosystem service payments, including carbon credits, water quality protection, and wildlife habitat enhancement. Agroforestry systems, which include food forests, can increase farm revenue by 15 to 30% through combined yields of timber, crops, and livestock compared to monoculture operations. These systems also report 40 to 60% reductions in fertilizer, pesticide, and fuel costs compared to conventional farming. Soil improvement represents another hidden value. Food forests typically increase organic matter content from 2 or 3% to 8 or 10% over the first decade. This improvement increases land value while reducing long-term production costs. Regional variations and market realities. Success metrics vary significantly by location and market access. Urban and suburban food forests often achieve profitability faster due to proximity to customers, willing to pay premium prices for unique products. Rural food forests may take longer to reach profitability, but can achieve larger scale and potentially higher absolute returns. Climate zone dramatically impacts both establishment costs and revenue potential. Temperate zone food forests face winter heating costs and shorter growing seasons, but can grow high-value crops like apples and nuts that command premium prices. Subtropical and tropical food forests may have year-round production, but face different pest pressures and market dynamics. Market access often determines success more than production capability. Food forests located within driving distance of farmers' markets, restaurants, or direct sale customers consistently outperform those depending on commodity markets or wholesale distribution. The brutal truth about failure rates. Not all food forests succeed financially. Research from Belgium found that more than half of the studied food forests were smaller than half a hectare, and only 2 could generate full income by the time of the study. Many food forest projects fail during the critical years 4 to 7, when costs continue but production remains minimal. Common failure factors include underestimating establishment costs, inadequate market research, insufficient off-farm income during the establishment period, and poor species selection for local conditions. Many operators also underestimate the labor requirements during the first 5 years. Successful food forest operators emphasize the importance of realistic financial planning. They recommend having at least 5 years of living expenses saved before attempting to rely on food forest income, or maintaining off-farm income sources during the establishment period. From a pure investment perspective, food forests offer returns competitive with traditional investment vehicles. Forestry investments typically generate 9 to 11% annual returns, comparable to the stock market average of 9.9% over the past 30 years. However, food forest returns follow a different pattern than traditional investments. Instead of steady annual returns, they offer minimal returns for 7 to 9 years, followed by potentially substantial returns thereafter. This pattern makes them unsuitable for investors needing regular income, but attractive for those seeking long-term wealth building. The return on investment calculation must also include non-monetary benefits. Food security, land improvement, carbon sequestration, and lifestyle benefits add value that financial analysis struggles to capture. Many food forest operators report that these intangible benefits justify the investment even if cash returns disappoint. Looking forward, current research suggests that food forests become increasingly profitable after year 10. A study from the Netherlands found that food forests achieve self-sufficiency in years 16 to 20, with maximum harvests and virtually no input costs. At this stage, net income, cash flow, and cash balance all become strongly positive. This timeline suggests that food forests represent generational investments rather than quick returns. Operators who successfully navigate the first decade often find themselves managing increasingly valuable and productive systems that can provide income for decades with minimal ongoing investment. Technology is also improving food forest economics. Drip irrigation systems reduce water costs. GPS-guided equipment improves efficiency. Online marketing platforms expand market access. Precision agriculture tools help optimize production and reduce labor costs. The bottom line reality is direct. After examining financial data from food forests across multiple climates and scales, several conclusions emerge. Food forests require substantial upfront investment, typically $5,000 to $10,000 per acre. They generate minimal income for the first 7 years. However, mature food forests can provide diverse income streams while requiring minimal external inputs. The key to financial success lies in realistic expectations, adequate capitalization, and diversified income streams. Operators who view food forests as lifestyle investments with potential economic returns generally succeed better than those expecting quick profits. For those considering food forest investment, the message is clear. Plan for a decade-long timeline, maintain other income sources during establishment, and focus on building multiple revenue streams rather than depending solely on fruit and nut production. The numbers do not lie. Food forests can become profitable, sustainable enterprises. But success requires patience, adequate resources, and realistic expectations about the timeline for returns. For operators willing to make that long-term commitment, food forests offer the possibility of creating productive, profitable land use systems that can provide income for generations while improving rather than depleting the underlying resources.